I spent a lot of time in Sunday school. And in Sunday school, I was told stories where people beat the odds. David and Goliath, how David was able to slay a giant with a slingshot. Those stories of inspiration have always inspired me to speak up, speak out, and take action. I don't think that there's anyone that doesn't want their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and the seventh generation not to have access to clean water. My name is Coleman Flowers. I am from Alabama. I am the founding director of the Center for Rural Enterprise and Environmental Justice. I was influenced as an activist by my parents. I remember people coming from other areas to visit and to stay in Lowndes County, Alabama, because they wanted to help the community fight for democracy and also have some type of economic prosperity. In 2001, I had started my own company, and I was doing economic development. We found out that people were being arrested because they didn't have septic systems or functioning septic systems, and that's how I got involved. And there was a compound of mobile homes. They're all family members. We could actually see the raw sewage going down the side of the road. When we got out of the car, a man came to Mr. Whitson crying. He said that he was a minister and he could no longer have services at his church because he didn't have a functioning septic system. That's when I realized how extreme it was.
The sewage comes up in her bathtub, come up in the sewer and that all on the floor.
When she talked about the lagoons, it's like a lake full of raw sewage that's right on the other side of those homes. In Lowndes County, Alabama, actually throughout the state of Alabama, but certainly in Lowndes County, Alabama, we know that at least 90% of the septic systems or the on-site systems are failing.
If it rains, if it got too full, it will overflow. It will come back up in my bathtub or the bathroom.
This is not just a Lowndes County issue, and I think when people look at it in isolation like that, they missed the boat. And what we don't want is infrastructure that's going to keep failing. It's not just a Lowndes County or an Alabama problem, and that's why we call it America's dirty secret. The other problem is that with climate change, we're seeing tropical diseases emerging. In the parasite study that we conducted, more than 33% of the people tested positive for some form of hookworm. I think when the Clean Water Act was put in place, it was well-intentioned, but I think that we're now talking about it because it's not just a plumbing problem. It's because we have developed wastewater infrastructure that cannot deal with the current reality. I think we can find some solutions that will work and solve these problems long-term, and something that's accessible for everybody, for the average American.
We have not solved this problem even since I was a child, and it's still going on today.
I'm hopeful, and that's one of the reasons why we're here in Huntsville, Alabama, because we feel that the solutions are here.
This issue on a global scale, needs to be fixed.
We're here with all these scientists and engineers, and the Marshall Space Flight Center is here. The Space Command is going to be locating here, and the technology that they have could potentially be useful as we look for long-term solutions. We're going to have to come up with ways in which we can recycle and reuse water, because water is a finite resource, and once it's gone, there will be no life. And we can figure out ways in which we can build houses differently. We may not even need sewage pipes. Well, houses where it could potentially just be treated there at the house. And when it comes out, it's clean, it can be reused.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
As we look at the Artemis moon mission, one of the things that they're going to have to deal with is how they treat solids. And they haven't come up with a solution yet as far as we know. But if they do come up with a solution, that solution could potentially be deployed into places around the United States and around the world where they're having problems with sanitation. And we have to understand that a lot of the solutions that NASA uses can sometimes be scaled down to where we can use them on a household level. And that could change how we treat sanitation and also how we use water. So that would be a great ending to the story, and hopefully it starts here in Huntsville.
You like that picture? It's Lola.
It's Lola.
Yes, that's Lola.
We put profit over the people and the planet. We need to change that paradigm. And that paradigm shift means that we should put people and we should also put the planet over profit.
What is
Turn
that?
the page.
I find hope in children when I see how they're just loving and living life, not worried about anything yet. We have to make sure that they have a future.
Gigi helps everybody be able to have clean water, right?
We have to make sure that they get to experience democracy, that they get a chance to drink clean water. And that's what I got an award for helping take care of the earth.
Isn't that good? Yeah. I think so too. You give Gigi a high five. Say good job.
Good job.
How you do this?
Thumbs up.